Holy smokes, I forgot to start my video. Okay. I need to stop share. Okay, so if you guys are on Nickel Boys, go ahead and stay on. And if you guys are for To Kill a Mockingbird, then you can turn off your cameras, video record your fourth practice, and then come back. So my suggestion to you, Mockingbird people, is to practice your poem maybe like 3 times and then record on the fourth or whatever it is, okay? Practice 2 times, record on the 3rd time, okay? And that should give you some time to practice, record, and then maybe even look over your notes, okay? All right, you guys good? Okay, and then I'm just gonna go talk to the Nickel Boy people. Okay, so let's go ahead and time yourselves for about 20 minutes. I'll be right back. I have to go get my phone. So you guys can go outside and start recording your practice first and then record and then look over your notes. Okay, where are my nickel people? Okay, so we should all be on this document. Okay. Let's see, we're on Nickel Boys. I'm not gonna have you guys break up into groups right now, okay? Maybe what we can do is just, I'm gonna just help you guys here with this. What happened? Darn it. I don't know if that works. Lindsay. Okay. And you know what? That's not going to work. Hang on. Okay. Let's do this. If you are on cohort B, go ahead and put your name in group 2. Okay. And then cohort A, go ahead and put your name in group 1. There we go. Oh, interesting. Okay, I guess it works. Cool. It's incredible. I have so many things up on my screen. I can't see. Okay, so let's get started with our discussion. Where are my students? There you are. Okay, so as we look at the notes, okay, and your notes, right, all we're gonna do is basically share out. So in your boxes, okay, what I would do is just select something that you would share out, okay? And then if you can copy and paste it on into the box, okay? And then that way you have something to look over as you're talking about it. Okay, so I will help you guys by modeling. I'm going to model for you. But first, what? So crazy. Hmm? Wait. Put it inside the chart. So under your group. The chart, not the chat. Yeah, so just copy and paste, or if you're, because you are handwriting, yeah, you just want to like make sure you have something for your classmates to look at, and then just yeah, in the notes on that doc. Okay, so under where it says Nickel Boys, your group 1, and then just right underneath, yeah. And then group 2 notes, you guys are underneath there typing in your notes. So my suggestion to you would be to write your name and then write your notes, right? Yeah. So like Elise and then blah, 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 there. Oh my gosh, who's Blobfish? That's so funny. Anonymous Blobfish. It's Autumn. That's funny. Awesome. Anonymous Mink. Sarah's going to turn into a mink coat. Yeah. Yes. Elwood. Yeah, Curtis. Yeah, right. 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 Okay, and so what you want to do is you want to grab page numbers, you want to grab like details, and then so that you're able to talk about it. Yeah. And then people should be like, you guys should have your books, and then you should be able to like, okay, guys, so on page blah, 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 right? And then you guys turn to the page and then you talk about it. Okay. It should be like a real like old lady book club, basically. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. My twin said that she went to a book club. I was like, you don't even read.
Yeah, that's what my mom's parents do. They call it book club, and so they have an excuse to gossip and eat at a fancy restaurant. No.
No, my book club is my paddling sisters. So whatever. Discrimination in the workplace. Okay. And then maybe you can find that one part where they're talking about that, right? Okay. Then what I'm going to do is put you guys into a breakout room. Actually, you know what? So our breakout room will just be in here, okay? And then I think it's Sarah, Dylan, and Autumn. Okay, you guys are just gonna talk in this main room together. Okay, Ken? Okay, we're just gonna practice. It's all good, okay? You're just gonna share out, well, this is what I was thinking about. So I would suggest going in like page number order so that chronologically it makes sense. Okay, so how are we doing with our notes? This is crazy. I'm gonna have to use the bathroom at some point. So when you guys talk in here, just mute yourselves on Zoom, okay? And then, okay, so when you are ready, you can just go ahead and talk. What I want to show you guys, hang on, is this. Where am I? Okay. So what I want to show you guys is this. Underneath, okay, how do you engage in discussion naturally, right? I mean, too many times at school, like we have these really uncomfortable, unnatural class discussions, right? And most times people will say, yeah, like I agree with Lindsay because dot, 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 or, you know, oh, like Lindsay said, blah, 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 right? It's so awkward. It's like we don't talk naturally. It's super unnatural, right? I just want you guys to talk stories about the book. So we are practicing. I want you to share out information, right? It is. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're trying to normalize socialization skills. Okay, so this is how it works, right? I mean, what do you do when you sit down and talk stories with your friends, right? You do this, right? You share out information, and then from that you go on to, oh, I was wondering about that, right? Right, like, oh my gosh, that part, I was so confused, right? So you would ask a question, and then somebody responds, right? And then moving on, right, you connect to what someone said, right? Oh, in connecting with blah, 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 right? But you don't say it like that, right? In school, we say it like that. It's so awkward, right? Like, think about all your cringy times, like trying to discuss something, and because you're doing it for a grade, it's like painful, okay? So connect to what someone said in a natural way. So we have to just imagine we're at the beach or something, okay? Or we're, I don't know where you are, in your living room, okay? It's okay to agree or disagree on a point, but argue the point, okay? Not the person, okay? Because we all still wanna like walk out of here with our hearts intact. And then also, this is where we're at with the whole shifting, the thinking into deeper insight, right? You know, I was thinking about that, but what if da da, right? Okay, so I'm gonna have you guys go through this. You guys on Zoom, go ahead and have your discussion. I'm gonna give you guys like 10 minutes to just have a natural discussion, and I'm gonna go use the bathroom because that's what needs to happen. Okay, ready? You guys have your books. Everybody should be like book club in it right now. Okay, go for it. Okay, so you guys are on mute. You guys are just talking with each other, right? Yeah, because you guys are one group. Oh, I need to mute myself.
Y'all should talk, but we're talking in class, so.
Okay. Hi, Dylan. Hi, Autumn. In the story, I said, or I noticed that Olud is, he doesn't see himself as like any worse than white people because, like Martin Luther King, he kind of looks up to him, and that's obviously like the message that he spreads.
Yeah, I can see how he thinks he's equal to everybody else, especially when he sees the two boys stealing from the store he's working at. And he doesn't see them as like a threat. He sees them as normal people, and he wants to treat them like normal people in a way. But what then he realizes that people don't see him as equal. They see him as lower or different from them, especially white people. And you can see this when after he's hot with his shift, he is going home and he gets jumped by the two boys that he told no, don't steal the candy. And I feel like that's when he realizes that not everybody not everybody sees him as them or the same as them.
Yeah, I guess like that's what you realize, or that's what he was realizing when he got older. Um, like kind of going out into the world, like when he got tricked by the dishwasher boys, or yeah, the dishwasher boys. He wasn't expecting it. He just thought it was like a harmless little thing. But I guess when like he started to get like more involved, like outside, he realized that it's really just unfair and unjust.
Yeah, and he always wanted to be treated fair, kind of like how Mr. Marconi treats him. Like he sees him as a normal boy that just wants to get money for his family. And he like explains life lessons to him, and so he learns almost like a mentor. He's like almost a mentor for Elwood.
Yeah, about the encyclopedias or encyclopedia, whatever it's called. How it was like blank. That shows like they're just trying to, they can do the work, and that shows that like the world is unfair to people who do hard work.
Anybody want to talk about the end of your reading? Did anybody talk about that? So go back into that last part of the section of reading, just the last couple pages, and just reread that last part. So at the end, where was he supposed to be going when he was hitchhiking? Okay, so where is he going? Where is Elwood headed to that he needed to like go to the other side of the town or whatever? And okay, whose fault was it? I mean, my goodness. All these people are trying to root for him, right? All these people are saying, oh, he's kind of smart. Let's help him, right? Mr. Hill, right? His English teacher. I was like, oh, I'm Mr. Hill. I would like to be Mr. Hill. Yeah. So what about Mr. Hill, right?
What is it? On page 30.
I think. I'm not sure though. He's like gonna use his voice, um, and um, like go to the like protests, which is kind of what he wanted to do, and like people support him. Um, yeah.
All right, so that's kind of the starting point, right? Mr. Hill kind of shows him all these books, talks about some things in class, and it starts like, it kind of ignites a fire within him, right? And him being brought up with the voice of Martin Luther King Jr., right? It all comes to a point. So where does that lead him, right? Mr. Hill says to go take college courses because he's smart. He's different, right? He's been raised with different expectations even, okay? He's gonna get out of there and we all know it, right? He's gonna get out of whatever poverty he's in because his mom and dad are out of the picture, right? Long gone, right? And grandma's holding the bag and Grandma Harriet is doing the best she can do, okay?
She didn't want him working, for the like the fifth generation of working.
Okay, so that's another part of the whole rules of engagement, right? Do you have to be stuck doing the same thing generation after generation after generation, right? How do you engage in that sort of, wow, is my future set up for me or can I change the course, right? Quite interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll get back onto Zoom and then let's just kind of close this out so you guys can go practice your fourth poem, fourth practice of your poem. So you're gonna video and then upload it, yeah? Okay, so where is everybody? You back with us? Okay, so as we do this, okay, I'm really trying to get you guys to engage in this book. Okay, and for the reasons of, you know, what happened yesterday with the whole Derek Chauvin verdict, right? With the now what, right? Now that the expectations of holding people accountable for their actions are pretty much at the forefront, right? You guys all became socially aware of the injustices, right, that are happening now that matter to you. Okay, this book, now that you have a lens of, well, what are the unspoken rules, right? What makes a situation unfair, right? The policeman who, go to the end, page 41, okay? Page 41, actually, let's go to page 42, right? At the very bottom, the last paragraph, right? In fact, before that, Rodney tells Elwood in the car when they get pulled over, you don't know me, do you? Like, like the guy Rodney was probably a full-on criminal that just picked up Elwood because Elwood needed a ride to go to do his college entrance exam to better his life, right? He was going places, but because the person who picked him up was a criminal and the car was stolen, right? That's what happens at the end, right? The deputy had his gun out now. First thing I thought when they said to keep an eye out for a Plymouth, he said, only a blank steal that, right? So the perceptions of and interactions of a person in society that is the authority, right, comes out. And their rules of engagement are probably much different than the rules of engagement that we would have with police officers here in Hawaii. Quite interesting. But I don't know, right? Because we just had 2 police shootings in Honolulu, right? That young boy, 16 years old, his name is I remember, right? He was with these boys that were and young men who were on a crime spree, and I have no idea how that happened. I tried to follow the story, but I couldn't understand the timeline. Yeah. Right. And then also there was that husband and father who was shot in Honolulu as well. I think it's like, but anyway, does that happen here, right? We look back at the Massey case and we're just blown away, right? So quite interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and switch channels. Okay, so you guys go ahead and practice your poem about 2 times and then record yourself. Okay, and upload it to the 4th poem practice, Ken? And then we'll have the other group come back. Okay, so you can go ahead and mute yourself and then video record and upload. Okay. Yeah, you guys go outside. Call those other kids back in. Yeah. Okay, where are my people? Kaulapa, you guys there? Mockingbird, Team Mockingbird. Yay. So Dylan, you can turn your camera off now. Okay, we're gonna just switch. Wow, this is so crazy to try and do stations on Zoom and in person.
Can you put us in a breakout room so the recording doesn't get everybody's voice?
Oh, they recorded and you just have to mute yourself
Oh,
in Zoom. Yeah. Because I couldn't hear anybody else.
so when you record, it's not gonna hear people's that's talking on the Zoom.
No, because I think you're using a different app,
Okay.
right? Is that what happened, you guys? You guys couldn't, how did that work? Sophia, how did that work? Were you able to record yourself? Because I couldn't hear you guys.
I was doing more of like, 'cause I started reading over it and stuff, and then I realized that like I was looking for a mo'o call that I could like throw in the ending or something. I didn't really like have enough time to record it, but I was like fine tuning the poem. That was okay.
Oh, okay. What about anybody else?
When we were recording,
Yeah.
it could pick up like the Zoom background noise.
Ah, sorry. That must be super annoying. Hang on. How do I do this? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Why don't you guys do that? Just leave the Zoom. Okay. And then that way I can close out class with the people on Zoom as well. Okay. All right, Mockingbirds. Let's go ahead and we're on Zoom. And I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. So how's your guys' notes looking? Do they look pretty similar as far as like pulling out important details regarding Okay, you should have something that looks similar. So let me just get on here. So this is how I use the worksheet to kind of add my notes. Okay, that's how I did it. I just added my notes down here below. Okay, so is that what you guys did? How did you guys do it? Or you put it on the right hand side? You just put it on the bottom? Okay. What about you guys? In
I
Zoom?
had it on another doc.
Okay.
And I just linked it.
Oh, okay, that works.
I made like a whole like table or something like underneath. So like that, I left that like as it is, and then I put like another table on the page below.
Okay, cool. Whatever works for you guys. Main thing, you can like copy and paste it into the chat or copy and paste it onto a doc or whatever it is, right? So we're just making sure that we're bringing something to the potluck, right? Because we all know there's people who don't bring food to the potluck, and it's like, oh, or they bring chips, yeah. Right. We have that rule for paddling. Like when we have potluck, if you bring chips, the coach will scold you. Hey, nobody bring chips, yeah. Okay. All right. So if we look at this, right, we have some major rules of engagement, right? Even like looking at Calpurnia, right? Even looking at these crazy kids wanting to know who Boo Radley is, right? And so what do, right? They go and knock on his door, right? They do crazy things like the snow day, right? They make this snowman, right? It melts, and what happens to it, right? It goes from like this white ball of beautiful snow to it almost like changes nationalities, right? Because the mud. Okay. I mean, it's just quite interesting. Their rules of engagement are very unique because these worlds are the kids' worlds and the adults' worlds, right? And it's very interesting how they interact. Harper Lee does a really good job reminding us throughout this story that these kids are like elementary school kids, right? And so what are those rules of engagement, right? So even on a social class, right, level, right, the Finches are a well-established family in Macomb, right? They have history. They have this place called Finch's Landing, right? That was there during like the time of slavery, right? A lot of history. Everybody has history. So part of this story it's kind of like reminds me of Hilo, reminds me of like where we're from, right? Because everybody knows each other, right? Everybody knows the stories, right? Everybody knows, oh yeah, that family, right? And if you're part of a certain family, you're like, oh yeah, right on, right? I think Sophia, you can like totally speak to that. Yeah, like it's so crazy. Like Sophia's family and my family are so entwined. It's crazy. Like I didn't go to the same school as like Sophia's like aunts and uncles, but we played basketball against each other, and like the history is long, and it's crazy. It's like I feel like Sophia's like my niece, but I try not to go there because she's irritating. Just joking. And then so anyway, we're gonna just practice this. Okay, we're just gonna just bring something to the table. Okay. If you guys look, what I did was I gave you guys some pointers because we've all been in class discussions and it's super awkward. Okay, so we're gonna try and undo the awkwardness and we're gonna try and do this naturally, right? So part of sharing out and having a class discussion, I want you guys to just picture us like in a coffee shop. We're in college, we're in a coffee shop, it's all good, right? I don't know where you guys would be, like living room with your books, right? And And so it should unroll naturally, right? Oh, I'm just going to share out this page number, this page, this direct quote, and just share out some information. And then somebody, right? Somebody should be like, oh, I was wondering about that, right? Or some kind of approach it with like curiosity, right? Ask a question. And then somebody else responds, right? We all been there in those class discussions where we have the, oh, like Jaden said, da 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 da, and people are just repeating each other, and it's like super weird, awkward, and the discussion doesn't go anywhere, right? So that's what I want this discussion to do, is I want it to go someplace, right? So connecting to what someone said, that's great, but how do you expand that discussion? Yeah, you can do the whole, I agree with what Kaolapa said, but also at the same point, I don't agree with this part, right? And so when you guys agree or disagree, remember you are disagreeing or agreeing with the point and not the person, okay? So we all want everybody to be friends after the discussion, okay? And we're not gonna be like, oh my gosh, did you hear what Kalai said? He didn't read, like, that's not what we're here for. We're here to like maybe correct certain things that we thought were happening at one point, right? And then we're also here to do the last bullet, and this one's the biggest one, and that would be shifting the thinking to deeper insight. So yeah, I saw it this way, but also what if this happened? Or Miss Caroline makes me wonder about the whole idea of insider versus outsider, right? Her perspective, what are her rules of engagement? Did she miss the boat, right? On maybe looking and observing and keeping her mouth closed before she actually learned what Maycomb was about. She missed that note. I think she totally missed. There was a sign on Maycomb that says, pay attention and try not to judge before you know, right? The families, because she made a big mistake in that class. And that's where Scout got herself into trouble, right? And her rules of engagement with Miss Caroline are constantly colliding because Miss Caroline doesn't know, right? The families, the Cunninghams, right? Who she is. Okay, so anyway, people on Zoom, you guys are sharing out, discussing, okay? And then people in the class, you guys are gonna just go on mute and you're just gonna have this free-flowing conversation. We're gonna go for about 10 minutes, so try to fill up the time. Okay, Ciara, you good? You got your book? Okay, so everybody should have their book in their hand, reference something, maybe pause to let people look, okay? And then talk stories, okay? 10 minutes, go for it.
I guess I can just start it off with saying like the different perspectives or worlds or whatever, especially between the adults and kids. And the kids are a lot more innocent, especially like Scout. When we first meet Dill, I think it's on page 8 and on page 9. Scout doesn't really understand what happened to Dill's dad, even though he's not dead, but he's gone. Also, it could be like Miss Caroline has a different perspective, and maybe she could just be like jealous or mad that Scout knows more stuff than everyone else.
I think it's interesting that you bring that up because the rule of innocence like really kind of shapes the whole first portion of the book. Like these kids know things but they don't understand things. Like, there's so much going on and they understand that there's stuff going on. They just don't know like the gravity of each situation. Like, when Scout asks what's rape, everyone's like, but something's wrong. Like, your dad is fighting for something, but you have no clue what he's fighting for. And I also another thing I thought was really interesting was how the kids, because of their innocence, they separate like good and evil. For instance, they don't understand, what good and evil is. Like Boo Radley's really evil to them, and they don't understand that. But like the people of Maycomb and their dad, they're good people, but Boo Radley is evil in their minds. And it just shows like how it's awesome to see like how the author was able to incorporate children's innocence into a novel like that, just to see like how you can capture like how to preserve a kid's youth.
And I guess also as sorry. Also as the reader, you kind of, I mean, you obviously know what's happening, but I guess it's kind of fun to experience what they're thinking and maybe things that you missed when you were little that other people might understand. So I guess it's pretty fun to see from your own perspective.
I think one of the biggest rules of engagement that I noticed, like in the book when I was reading, was that the kids are like all afraid of Boo Radley, but you can see the perspective change between the kids and the adults, because when Scout talks to the neighbor, Miss Maudie, she finds out that Boo Radley was actually like a nice person when he was younger, and then later he like puts the blanket on her, which freaks her out, but like he's trying to be a good person. And then yeah, I just thought it was interesting seeing how the perspectives of the adults were different than the perspectives of the kids, because for the kids they had sort of built up this like image of him in their minds, like he was the boogeyman. So
Another interesting sort of thing that I noticed was like the differences between the different families and how like well off they were based on how much money they have. So like the Finches, they're pretty well off. They don't have money troubles. They're not rich by any means, but they don't seem to have any troubles with providing food on the table and stuff like that. And then you contrast that to like the Cunninghams, who don't have much, and like especially that part when Miss Caroline was asking, I forget his name, but one of the Cunningham boys about his lunch, where was his lunch, and Scout had to say like, oh, they don't have money to have lunch. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see the differences between the different families, and how Maycomb was sort of different for each of them based on how much money they had.
It's kind of like directly related, like not about the novel, but it was kind of how Miss Kabuto was saying earlier, like Hilo, there's like super different families that are like in this really small town. For instance, like where you live doesn't really matter on how well off you are, especially in this town, because I mean you could live in a small plantation house on the coast of, I don't know, by Honolulu, and then you'd be a millionaire. But and it's really cool to see how there's like different people in this town, and it's like sort of directly related to the lives that all of us are living. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I also find it funny that Miss Caroline is like so mean to Scout, but she's just like so clueless about everything else, especially to the what was that one kid's name? The kid that had like lice, I think. But she was like real mean to him, and then she ended up crying at the end.
So what about the Cunninghams? What do you know about their family? They have rules of engagement within their family. So what are some of those rules?
With the Cunninghams, the rules of engagement were like that they didn't accept things that they couldn't pay back, but generally they wouldn't pay people back with money because they didn't have money. It was like they gave them resources because that's what they had access to, or they would like work to help pay it off.
Very good, right? And if you think about it, that's how it is here, right? There's some families that they'll show up if there's like work to be done, they'll do that instead, right? And that's still worth something, right? I talk about my neighbors a lot, and my neighbors really, I mean, they don't even have windows on their houses, their home. They don't have windows. It's crazy, right? They don't even have curtains. They hang up sheets to make curtains and things like that. But when I moved in there, I moved in next door. I mean, they did the whole like the super Hawaiian thing where they like gave us a bag of lau lau, okay? And I was like, oh my goodness, like we're taking away their food, you know? They don't have any money, but they can make things, right? So like these rules of engagement, they should be able to trigger something like that you know about, right? Like some people, you can't repay them with money even, right? If somebody does something nice for you or pays for something, you can't go back and pay them back, right? You gotta be there. You gotta show up when they need something, right? That's just how it works. It's kind of interesting. Okay. What else? Calpurnia. How do the kids interact with Calpurnia? What's their relationship like?
It seems like Scout and Calpurnia kind of butt heads with each other. She always seems to find something wrong with what Scout is doing, like when she's just doing normal stuff. But then Calpurnia's like always has a bone to pick with her for some reason, and Scout doesn't really understand why.
After Scout starts going to school, their relationship like changes too. So Calpurnia ends up being more like almost like a mother, not quite, but like kind of more towards that, because she's more like affectionate towards her, I guess. She like says that she misses her and stuff, even though whenever she's there, she just complains about her. So
Where's their mother?
Dead.
Right, so we don't hear too much about the mom. The mom, you know, passed away, right? And yeah, when she was 2. Okay, and it's very interesting because very little is said about her mom. You know, if we could do our own writing, you know, part 2 of this, it would be cool to do the backstory of her mom, of their mom, right? Yes, it really affects Jem, right? So even just the rules of engagement with life and death, right? Jem sees things as being really unfair in the world, right? And that he carries with him throughout this book. So notice that. Yeah. He's right.
She's very innocent. She's very childlike. She's got that young.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, well, it doesn't benefit me. There's that part where she's sad because the hospital gets filled up, and she's disappointed, and he's kind of like, oh well, it's just a hole in the tree.
Right. Even the rules of engagement when finding the 2 sticks of gum, right? The treats.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even that's kind of fun, right? They just want to stuff the gum in their mouth, right? And they're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't, right? Because the fear factor, right? There's a fear factor with Boo. And the irony of his name being Boo Radley, right? Okay, so, and the symbolism. No, I don't think so. Okay, let's do this. Okay, the rest of the period is going to be yours. What we have. is this, okay? And I'm gonna close out the Zoom people so that you guys can kind of jump on, okay? Is in Canvas, if you guys look in Canvas. Okay, oh, I'm gonna wait for the other people to come in. Can you guys jump back on Zoom and then we'll close out class so that you guys have like a bit of a work period or not even, I don't know. So that we're all clear before we leave today. Like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. My stomach is saying it's lunch, by the way. I'm like, okay. Okay. You guys don't have to jump on Zoom, but I want you to follow along. Okay, so get onto Canvas. Okay. Where am I? Okay. So for you guys in Zoom land, if you guys look, so we did the Google Earth activity just to check it out. Okay. And then what we have here is we should have completed the fourth poem practice. If you haven't, please upload it because that needs to happen. We got to start really memorizing because I believe it's when do we do our poem? Hang on. In 2 weeks, yeah. We are doing our poems real soon, so you guys got to start really locking it down. If you want me to look at it one more time, email me, send me the link, all good. Okay. Where am I? Okay, so here, next reading. So preparing for class discussion, what I want you guys to do is, oh my gosh, I have things like in my way. Okay. So Nickel Boys, you're going to read another 40 pages or so. And then To Kill a Mockingbird people, you guys have several chapters to read. Make sure you upload your notes for each section. That's how I'm giving you guys points for that. So whatever you guys are typing in, just copy and paste. Okay, real easy. Okay, it's worth 20 points. So let's look. Next week, you're going to focus on what happens when worlds or perspectives collide. Okay, I want you guys to really focus on this idea of what happens when like the adult world and the kid world collides, or what happens when authority figures and people who don't have power collide. What happens to that, right? So really take a look at that. If you can, pay attention to what's going on maybe for current events as well, you can bring some of that in as well. And the last part of this group discussion for next week is what happens when the rules apply to some people and not all. Okay, that is kind of a pretty powerful question right there, right? And one of the reasons why our poetry slams are coming out so well is that we know when things happen, when some of those rules don't apply to everybody. Okay, so anyway, there's that. The other thing that you're gonna do, so what I did was for cohort B, I've assigned 3 short videos for Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What you're going to do is take notes. There are questions for each. I don't know why. I'm so sorry. I cannot see my screen because I don't know. I can't see. There's something on it. So anyway, for cohort B, you're going to listen to these clips. The longest one I think is 7 minutes. The shortest one is like 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. So I carefully chose these clips. You're going to see Martin Luther King Jr. speak. So for the first station or the first clip, you're going to discuss the imagery and symbolism of the mountaintop. All right. Next one, his speech on Zion Hill. I want you guys to try to figure out and explain what somebodyness is. Okay. And then the last one, this deals with Nickel Boys, but it gives you a sense of who Martin Luther King Jr. was, as far as, yes, he's going to tell you what's on the reel, but also he's going to tell you about hope, right? And so this is part of the rhetorical appeals, right? He is a master at this, right? Martin Luther King Jr. takes you through this master class of presenting the 3 rhetorical appeals so that you care about what he says. It's magical. And also the reason why we're looking at this is it should help you with your presentation of your poetry slam. Okay, because he'll say stuff and then he'll drop, right? He'll say something and make you believe it to the very core of who you are. And that's what I think we need to build in our performance piece, right? Is the delivery of our true and authentic self. I can stand in front of people and say this because I truly believe it, right? Like how I can stand in front of you guys or sit down in front of you guys and be on Zoom and say that I truly love being your teacher, right? You feel it. Why? Because it's true, right? So hopefully that comes out as you guys are watching these videos. So the instructions for this cohort B is I want you to respond to the questions for each of the clips, and then just 2 questions and maybe a comment about what you learned, and then how do these speeches relate to your novel. Okay, so this is kind of a more historic approach to what we're reading in our novels. Okay, I also want you to get to know the kids and the characters in To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm like mixing up books here, right? In the Mockingbird book, please, all these people are going to start popping up. So you really need to have like stick figures with their names in it and then just like character map them out, right? Because Miss Maudie has other friends, right? Mr. Avery pops up. Who the heck is Mr. Avery, right? Miss Caroline pops up. There's so many characters in To Kill a Mockingbird that it's like, you gotta make sure you get them all straight, because if not, they're gonna start merging together. For you guys in Nickel Boys, Tucker, right? He doesn't, Elwood doesn't have too many friends, okay? But there's gonna be these like, not security guards, but like the people that work in the school, right? So those characters are gonna start popping up and you gotta keep them straight, because some of them seem nice and then they're just not, okay? So don't get them confused. All righty. Any questions on what you're doing? All good? Okay, I hope you enjoy your book. Please continue to memorize your poem and then get to know those Martin Luther King Jr. speeches. All righty. Have a great day. Yeah, we stayed away from I Have a Dream because we're already. Okay, take care. Bye. Oh, yeah, chicken skin. Lindsay, I don't know what this is.
That was an accident.
That's so funny. I was like, what? Okay.
I tried to copy and paste.
Yeah.
Dog,
Yeah.
and I guess it didn't go.
You had something already in there.